Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Poetry Project. Have a seat. There are more chairs at the back if chairs are needed. My name is Mirna Arsanios. I'm the program director here, and I'm extremely excited to welcome tonight Alexandra Egan and Kendra Sullivan. Woo! I can't think of a more exciting pairing. Alex and Kendra are both poets, among many other things, and mothers as well. And I rarely see children at the Poetry Project, so this feels like really good. And children are free to sort of make noise and express whatever they need to express during the readings. So don't worry about that. And what else? So before we begin, a few announcements. There are books for sale at the table, many books. One of them is Rep, which is Kendra's latest book. Yes, thank you. We have also Kendra's first book that's for sale, the green chapbook, and some lost and found also chapbooks, if I'm correct. And can you remind me of the title of the lost and found, Kendra?
Well, we've got Sargon Mulot, who's a poet who translated the beats into Arabic, and his facsimile of his magazine called Tigers has Intellignant's Jabut in it, and his translation.
Oh, amazing.
Yep.
Great, I love that poem.
Go ahead and publish that. And then we also have, do we have Jim Shopper? What else do we have over there? Oh, Lucia Berlin.
Oh, amazing. So good. So a lot of incredible books over there, which I recommend you have a look and grab a copy of. And what else? Upcoming events at the Poetry Project. Please come back this Wednesday. Monica de la Torre and Tonya Foster are going to be reading and launching their new books as well. I don't remember the event on Friday. Do we have an event on Friday? I'm not sure. But there, you can grab like one of the leaflets at the door, and we have our upcoming events there. I also want to thank, before we begin, we have introductions today. One by Morgan Bassicus, who is Alexandra's mentor, and Karen Lepre, who will very kindly introduce Kendra. So thank you so much for doing this. And I think that's it for me, which on the logistical front, there we have 2 all-gender bathrooms, one on the first floor, one on the accessible bathroom on the ground floor. If you need to get there, let me or anyone else on staff know, and we'll walk you there. Okay, I think that's it for me. I will turn it over to Morgan, who will introduce Alex. Thank you, Morgan.
Hi. I'm really honored to get to introduce Alex. What struck me right away reading Alex's work was this quality of someone who wants to help us linger in discomfort. Not to humiliate us, or her for that matter, but because despite our best attempts, discomfort seems to be where honesty happens to also live. And honesty also happens to be where freedom happens to live. And so I keep hearing on podcasts. Telling the truth is scary. Tricky, as Dr. Becky, one of the many parenting gurus I listen to soothe myself, says. It can be easy to wrap ourselves in stories of certainty that we've told over and over to make things nice. Motherhood is only lovely. We never hate the people closest to us. Life under fascism is normal. The pandemic is over and more aren't on their way. The Democrats will save us. Tomorrow I'll stop eating gluten. I see none of myself in my opponents. Upon meeting Alex, it came as no surprise, given her propensity for unpopular truths, that she was one of so many mothers on the streets with their children in their hands, calling for the US to stop funding Israel's genocide in Gaza, which is to say its mass murder of children, who constitute over 50% of Gaza's population. I will spare you the description of images that none of us will ever be able to forget, and nor should we be able to, given that it is our tax dollars that bought those horrors, which fund a settler colonial apartheid state which destroys hospitals, schools, homes, neighborhoods, mosques, churches, and entire family lines on purpose, because it knows those are places that create the condition for the possibility of Palestinian life, which is to say resistance, which is to say existence on Palestinian land. So Alex and I's connection has gotten deeper over the months that we've had the chance to work together, but we all know that mothers have always been at the forefront of fighting white supremacy and its many architectures of premature death. Mother's Day itself traces its roots to mothers organizing against war. My favorite people in the world are mothers who are organizers and organizers who are mothers. The mother organizers who set up this event tonight, who planned the event, regardless of their relationship to children, as if this place always looks like this. It doesn't always look like this. People set this up. Stick close to the mother organizers in the collapse that is coming, because they know how to survive impossible things. And they have snacks. And they will know what to do when, not if, you shit your pants. It has been such a gift to walk alongside Alex these past many months as we both navigate the perils, the inner perils of trying to write, ever, and especially now in a world on fire, even more fire than before. We just keep on reminding each other that it is inside the tricky space. It is towards the funky smell. It is within the crumbs that get everywhere that we might grasp the depth of our predicament and our path out from under it. Please join me in welcoming Alex Egan.
Thank you, Morgan. I didn't know you listened to Dr. Becky. I have such a love-hate relationship with her. The first two poems are for my dad. We were estranged for many years, more than 2 decades, and the first poem was written in the middle of that estrangement when I thought I was really tough, and the second poem was more recent. Phenotypical. I excised you as useless, but found everywhere other wicked and selfish things to cleave to and from, both faults in one word. You were as kind as raw meat, left the same bloody smears to be washed away, a commonplace kitchen duty, your face and my face, my uncorrected overbite. You have other daughters, but not this one. I hope you are healthy, strong, and that I never see you again. My nightmare, you fall sick, your age and weakness show, your hair tending gray, then past tending, just gray. I have to kneel at your side, a spectacle of pretending forgiveness. Do I prefer the raging father, the towering poet that made us cry and hate him? There were a lot of babies and their mothers. Some did stay, but not us. I was the one spared, the one that doesn't know you. Now untethered, proud and dumb, still made in his image, a dog in the alley, a tornado is nothing. And then this one is just from this last. Saturn devours his daughter. I am the aging, angry aging daughter. Being his child was hard, so I quit. I was raised to never look directly at the thing you want the most. Your desires are Medusas, and wanting makes you weak. He was strong, so I was stronger and forgot him completely. 20 years went by. My enemy, my love. Leaving has always been so easy, an endless fall, no landing. The room of someone waiting to die is a gift, an uncontaminated portal. I played Pharaoh Sanders' Humala, and hoped my father would understand the things I could not articulate. I said, I don't know what to say. He said, we said everything already. Could this possibly be true? We'd said so little. I told him, I know the best parts of me were gifts from you. It was true. I only knew it as the words come out. How many years can you make up for in 5 days? We held hands, cried hard, seeing I had become everything I held against him, tattooed on my own skin, shame and rage plagiarized from him. I was a thief, stealing parts wholeheartedly, a poet in New York City decades after him, a stubborn asshole, a thoughtless lover, selfish, even the terrible temper, a little flame from him that I nurtured in cupped hands. I stole his face, so clearly hidden in mine. Then he died without reading anything I wrote. Why were we both so stubborn? I hated him, became him. I lowered the railing of the hospice bed so I could kneel with nothing between us. His beard had a scent I didn't know. I remembered I hadn't been this close to him since I was 5. I wanted one thing my whole life, but one of us was always in the way. That's enough. I didn't know that I would be one of those moms that cannot stop talking about their baby, but now I'm going to read so many poems about my baby. Transgress. There's no line between us yet. We drift to sleep spoons. I wake to her tiny foot in my underpants, a hand in my hair. I miss you too, she says in the morning in response to nothing. Her father is an anarchist. We made her on a boat. One night was long enough to tesseract delicately until my water broke. After my daughter, Frank, was born, I didn't write anything at all for 2 years, and then I wrote this poem called The Baby is Awful. The baby is awful. The baby is perfect. She has 12 neat teeth and a gaping maw, a hole into which my entire life disappears. Mama, 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 mama. The baby is precious, the work is menial, monotonous. For weeks, she woke up every 45 minutes and nursed for 20 minutes. How did that math work? I woke up every 45 minutes, nursed for 20 minutes, and then in the morning, I was still alive. I made coffee, put her in a baby carrier, and walked around the neighborhood. I saw an entire demographic of people I had never encountered, people with dogs, babies, coffees, crisscrossing streets in the early morning. Were these people the whole time? I was happy and proud, the new self impossible to the old. Now she's not a baby. Was she ever a baby? The past is erased immediately. My apex predator shouting, "Cuddle me, mama," enraged when I half turn away. I spend my whole life curled around this creature and my back slowly decomposes. My body is strong, weak, 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 mind gone blank, the present erased immediately, a stone, the toll visible, visceral, and obscene. She asks me to kiss her teeth. She flails, splits my lip, puts her hand up my shirt. You have to ask first, I tell her. No, she yells. She sulks, chin jutting. Her face is mine, made pristine, swollen with tears. Please, no more. Milk, mama, mama, milk. This suckling pig of mine. I'm crawling out of my skin. Don't fucking touch me. I am a finite resource depleted. I am zeroed out and have nothing to show for it. This complete human and profound financial ruin. Awake, always awake, then sleep, until 3 a.m. when she vomits in my hair. I put hair plus vomit in a ponytail. Mama, mama, mama. It's okay, baby, get it all out. And she does. The next night, it's my turn. I vomit in a bowl balanced on my knees and empty the whole rest of my body into the toilet. I cry hard, and she stands next to me on tiptoes, lifting my shirt to help herself. This is cannibalism. She's eating me alive. Crush me, mama. I lay across her and pretend to smush her into oblivion. She loves it. Each day, she smushes me into oblivion. We were born separately and then stitched together. I lean in and smell her sour milk breath while she sleeps. And then this is the companion piece, which is called The Mother is Awful. The mother is awful, the absolute worst. The child asked me to play with her, but I can't. No, my love, I'm busy. I turn away, furiously writing a poem about being her mother. Later at dinner, she cries in front of a plate of chicken and rice, some cauliflower, a sliced pear, the meal requested but refuses to eat. She can't sit still, can't focus, can't take a bite, can't. Plays roulette with my patience instead. floods the room with a torrent of questions, mostly the same question. I am a talking doll with a string between shoulder blades, my face expressionless. My love, my love, my love. And it's true, she is my love, but I am so desperate for her to stop talking. Every terrible thing about your child is your fault. You encoded genes, or it's because of how you made them feel. You always snapped at them. You were on your phone too much. How you parent is a gag gift. You present your baby with it on the first day, careless, a little cruel, but permanent, a race to the bottom. Who do I resent most, me or her? My love for her inflates my chest. My love for her grows exponentially, filling the room in a torrent of expanding. How did it all fit in one can? My love starts to harden as it dries. My love presses down on me, my arms. My love paralyzes me. My love is a punishment. She talks and I don't listen. I run my hands over the surface of her body and yearn to do it right, to be sweet for her. But what have you done? I ask myself. Look what you did. I don't know who I'm talking to. I keep losing my cool. I am losing my mind. My friend Laya says, just keep driving. The only way out is through. I know she's right, but it's a trick. There is no other side. I live here now and always. Mother of crumbs. I thought a baby made you soft. It made me feral. I thought a baby made you soft. It made me stricken. I nurse and fold my mind into a supplication. I don't know to whom, but please, 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 and I don't know for what. I free fall into a joy, bloody with impending doom. Then exhale on her sleeping face until her eyelids flutter, proof of life. Every day I fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up. I know it can only be me. No one else will know how to love her just right in my ferocious way. I thought a baby made you soft, and I was determined to be wild. And I was wild, with one regret. I wasn't brave enough to be wilder. I wanted to be dumb with recklessness. And then I had a baby. Now I do any crazy thing for her. My one request, my heart to stop. If her heart stops, to never know the shape of her absence. I am not prepared for any version of myself without her, the world without her. Her soft palms skim the planes of my face as we lay nose to nose in the pitch black. I gave up my life for this and now must carve something new, hacking away with a butter knife. I am a life support system without a life support system. I scrape pancake off the floor, brush Farina from her hair, the clothes unfolded, the floor unswept. The remains of me gritty underfoot with cracker crumbs. I split my tender self in two, both halves, my love for you. One part of parenting that I was not prepared for was how quickly and how urgent the fucked upness of the world becomes just overnight. And this poem is called We're Dead, Sweetheart. But one thing no one tells you before you have a baby is you should absolutely not have a baby. At least not here, not now. We careen toward mass extinction. Moths thrilled for our own hot death. It was preventable. We did not prevent it. Maggots wait in the wings. The parenting books I do not have but need, How to Parent in a Death Cult, Parenting in the Mouth of a Predator in an Evil Empire, How to Raise a Child in a World That Should Not Exist. I practiced baby wearing in the pitch darkness of a whale. I didn't yet know to keep a short knife, very sharp and close at hand, pricked for the death rattle while I watched Rumpelstiltskin dance, arms wound tight around my last child. This is no place for a child. This is no time for a child. But here I am with a wizened little baby and even think about having another, gluttonous for the hurting little piggy, little piggy. I would lay my body down for her, but no one wants obsolete technology. A swamp blossoms in my chest. I want to take her anywhere else. There is nowhere else. This sinking ship was the best I could do. Some mothers eat their pups to save them from the world, and now I understand. Let me kill you with my tender heart. I wrap my arms around her so tight she squeezes, she hollers. I want to be the most terrible thing in her life, and I know I will be. The moon in the trees is a crescent I turn my face toward. I must know the whole world or nothing, so I train my eyes on things my body begs me to look away from. The child spills out of the child. The parts we shouldn't see, pink and quivering, tender sweet. I say, I see you, I see you, I see you, I love you. I know every part of every child. Because oh, how we kiss those hands and feet, the divine creation just now made dust. My heart breaks, but how facile to say so. My own daughter wails, furious at the things I do wrong, but she has only just begun to know the whole world is wrong, every bit a shit show. The mother's grief is a wound in their chest, a burnt offering. The grief is a weapon in their hands, a child, it is their child. I watch the news and my teeth ache. There's one stone on each side of my chest and one below that, just above my pubic bone. I turn my face away, but I see you. I want to write a poem. I want to write the poem. I load the dishwasher. I want to burn the bridge. I check the newspaper and try to determine if my daughter and I are losing health insurance. I want to mother, to mutate. Instead, I slice my finger badly on a vegetable peeler. The blood seeps through a paper towel and I stare at the kitchen wall. The space between all these selves is perverse, fucked, inescapable. I am trapped between monotony and emergency, not sure which is which. A man sifts flour from the remains of his bombed-out house and someone films so that the world can know what we have done. I don't want to atone. I just want to write a poem. I watch a child be dug out from the rubble, her eyes flutter alive unexpectedly. A man brushes sand from her cheeks, pulls concrete from her mouth, and witnesses celebrate. I lay on the kitchen floor, useless, my chest gasping for this child, or perhaps mine. I can never keep them straight. I want to write a poem, but I need a little daughter on my back, a circle of women each weeping until we are arrested. Sadness burnt into anger the moment the cops touch my daughter. I don't want any of this. I want to make beef short ribs in red wine. It's an expensive cut of meat, slow cooked with miso and dark chocolate. Every time I make it, I want to fall in love. To make this meal for a lover, I want to weep about the tender meal in my mouth, be too self-indulgent and too generous. I want to swoon and write a poem about swooning and nothing more. Girls, girls, girls. He said to write a poem about my mother. I can't, I said, she's still alive. Amorphous as always, a cloud that settles everywhere. My mother laughs. I have no boundaries, changes the subject, changes nothing. My family tries to drown me in corn syrup, gentles my lips apart. Open wide, it's nice and sweet. I read about enmeshment on Reddit and look at the women around me, a human centipede choked with intimacy. I get my clipboard out, take notes diligently, waiting for someone to notice all the ways I am right or have been wronged. I see the problem. I am the problem. I love my daughter. I coax her mouth open just a bit. My fingers leave grotesque smudges on her chin. I would like to be acknowledged. I am ready for my statuette, but instead I settle in to take my turn as the villain, as the mother. This is my last poem. I just want to thank everyone that came out, and also most especially thank Morgan. They have an uncanny ability to trick me into writing poems, so they were very instrumental in all of this. Further parameters and definitions of the subject. The baby is an invention. The baby is inventive. She teaches herself to speak. Her language is charming and wrong. The baby is wrong, but you are not allowed to say that. The baby is alive, and disgusting. The baby should come with a trigger warning. The baby is as luxurious as compost, sweetly foul. The baby is covered in a delicate bloom of mold, skin blotched with psychedelic colors. I cannot look away. The baby has an elaborate microbiome, which is slowly conquering my own. Malicious, but as graceful as long hair underwater. The baby's existence is a definitive and damning rejection of the global monoculture. The baby is infinite, the baby has no boundaries, the baby is a Ponzi scheme. Just like the universe, the baby is always expanding. The baby is a choking hazard. The baby has such strong gravitational pull that nothing, not even light, can escape. The baby is a laboratory, a dark garden of my mistakes. The baby is evolving, ever terrifying. The baby makes me furious. I am sick with a rage so tangible I hold it in my hand. The baby is gauche. The baby is an etiquette nightmare, Marie Antoinette in a diaper. The baby is merciless, oblivious. The baby has ruined me. The baby loves germs. The baby loves me. The baby is the ultimate anarchist. The baby is the antichrist. The baby fucks up the algorithm. The baby is a velociraptor, predatory but destined for extinction. The baby is a verifiable rock and roll legend. The baby uses up all the oxygen in the room, no matter the room. The baby obliterates my mind. The baby is a divine comedy. The baby is the divine comedy. The baby is the great worm in the third circle of hell, 3 ravenous mouths, never satisfied. The baby is all the circles of hell collapsed into one with beautiful long lashes. The baby is paradise. I sigh and am complete. The baby is not sacred. The baby is profane. She turns the stiff pages of a board book, mumbling, "Where the fuck is the sheep?" The baby is a book of jokes. I am always the punchline. The baby is a bully. She makes me slip on a banana peel. The baby is the straight man in our comedy duo. I have to be the clown. The baby has no respect. The baby is not fucking around. The baby is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I have no way to know if this is true or not. The baby is a promise, or at the very least, a promissory note, an IOU, a DUI. The baby was a surprise, an elemental joy that complicated everything. The baby was also the end of an era. The baby is the birth of cool and marks a significant development in post-bebop jazz. The baby is weeping. The baby is the reason I am weeping. The noise I make is machinery gone wrong. The baby does not understand consent. The baby is not an abolitionist. The idea is laughable. The baby is the warden. The baby is a gift. The baby is a gift horse. I check her mouth for teeth daily. The baby has a jaw that unhinges like a snake's. This is called mandibular dislocation, all the better to swallow me. The baby is up on her hind legs. What the fuck is she doing? Thank you.
Wow, that was incredible. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, Morgan, for this beautiful intro as well. I will now turn it over to Karen Lepre, who will introduce Kendra Sullivan. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, shoot, I messed it up. Sorry, should not have touched it. Okay. That was such a joy to listen to, Alex. Like, speaking truth to power. Power is child. Like, it's so humbling every day. Okay, so Kendra Sullivan, boat builder, poet, mother, arts organizer, intellectual, curator. What an honor to introduce you tonight. Previous to writing this book, Rep, and becoming a mother, or her previous work, 0 Point Dream Poems, Kendra has long occupied the more metaphorical role of mother in her creative community, imagining and birthing new spaces for bringing people together, be it to share ideas or share art, one of them being the long-loved Sunview Luncheonette. Kendra's studies in sustainability and her time building boats speak to the innate capacity to work collectively, to take on water, to make a world and protect one down to the teeth. In Rep, the concept of reproduction, representation, repetition, and utter feats of strength are filtered through a many-layered world of texts and bodies of knowledge. Like a pregnant body, the poetic self or poetic process becomes fully folded, twisted, stretched, filtered through the atom as mother or the quest as mother, the journey a sea. One has to always question in terms of human means of reproduction if the fetus or the mother is at sea, or both. What it means to take root never in the same place, as Kendra forces us to wonder. Perhaps it is here in this book that we come ashore, inside the uncanny, heady, and visceral space of one of Kendra's reps. Perhaps here we experience a kind of return to water, first waters, rising waters, the physics of water. During the height of the pandemic, Kendra sat on the phone with me in a nearly empty room where she was writing while her baby, Dimitri, played. I couldn't imagine this. If I was with my baby, all of me was with her. I felt like I had forgotten how to be a poet. But in reading Rep, I realized the separation I imagined between Kendra and her baby was my failure to take into account what writing in that room was doing, what writing can be thought capable of, what it was curing, knitting, crawling along. There is a range of responses to trying to write with a baby in the room. Merle Lederman Ukele famously argued it should be enough to be the mother to the child, and that should count as one's art. But if you are Kendra, of course that couldn't be enough. Not with the seas, the planet, crying out for our attention. There is a grandness and urgency to Kendra's work, as if to say to the world beyond the nuclear family, I got this, I got you. As Kay Prevale has said about her book, it speaks to the poet's role as speaker of the collective story, no matter how complicated and many-voiced it is. Kendra navigates this highest scientific and narrative complexity in these spaces as if to warn us against dumbing down our concept of the art of mothering or the mothering of art, how this already has to signify what we can and will do to take care of our world, no pocket unreversed, physical or otherwise. Ultimately, when you are poet and mother, a different future has to be possible. Or rather, when a different future is possible, you have to be a mother and a poet. Please welcome Kendra Sullivan.
Who is that person that you just described? I want to be her. What a gift. Thank you. Hey, Dimitri. Hey, Jane. All right, let's see. I have too much material, so I'm gonna get right to it. All right. I wrote this before I got here today. I had this idea of what it was going to feel like and look like and be like, and it's different. No big surprise there, but this is what I wanted to offer to the space that I would be entering into. And I hope that it means it as much to the actual space that I have entered into. Okay, so I want to talk first about the idea of community. And I know, at least where I come from in public scholarship, community is a really fraught concept, but I'm not going to go into that fraughtness today because it's not really fraught for me today. It's just a dream to be in community with you all. Alex, amazing reading. Frankie, I don't know you yet, but I'm really excited to get to know you and introduce you to Dimitri. Children love that when you call out their name in front of an audience. No, they don't. Sorry, guys. So I was thinking a lot about the Poetry Project as a space and how, and Chloe Bass and her class, Archives in Action. Actually, I think I made that title up. Yeah. Okay. And so we were talking about archives earlier and just thinking about the ways in which we're braiding these counter histories through our collective expression here in this space and its twin, our collective listening. And so just thinking about how beautiful and timely it is to get together to perform this collective act. And I've been thinking a lot about the work of Lois Elaine Griffith, who is one of the founders of the New York Poets Cafe. Samson, Starkweather, and I, and the folks over at Lost and Found have had the pleasure of working with Joseph Caceres and Jonathan Toro and Lois on the New York Founders Cafe archive project. This is all preamble. This isn't even what I wrote. I'm just going to jump right in now because we don't have enough time for me to talk as much as I usually talk. So Lois said this thing recently. She said, community is how you find the people you need, how you meet the people who need to find you.
Community is how you find the people you need, how you meet the people who need to find you. So community, I started to think of, as I was thinking of the poetry project, as a kind of house. It's an idea of a house. It's a house you start building without a land lot or raw materials. There's no ground to break, no wood, stone, no steel to bend. You just sort of trust that people will visit your idea of a house and like it enough to live there, enough to stay with you. And they will be the right people, and they will bring the right materials with them at the right time to raise the idea of the house over your collective heads before it rains. Rightness here is not a value or a particular way of being in agreement with a particular set of values, so don't misunderstand. It's more of a vocabulary. The idea of a house is an invitation with a generalized addressee. It calls to once and future housemates in a voice they can hear. It activates their hands and mind. It activates their hands and minds, the concrete and the ideological, the empirical and the spiritual. It issues an invitation to abide in the continuous activity of generosity and reciprocity. Agency and responsibility, making and remaking the world. My community calls to me in a voice that I recognize from childhood. It tells me to come in under the shelter of working together. My community tells me that our humanness is beautiful. Once we start working together, a diffuse we to which anyone who hears the voice can claim belonging, we start feeling our way into the imaginal architecture, and the feeling molds the contours of the house, form, contours, parts, whole. The people in this house are here to build this house. By making, doing, and being together. That's it. One day, someone wonders, what else will we do in this house? Why are we here? What else is a research inquiry? I work in higher education. I am a scholar. What else is what motivates my research? Research, like art, is magic in action. It is a process we follow in order or out of order. Everything I do is out of order, to know that which we need to know but don't know yet. Research is the beginning of thinking about the idea of the house as a school. The thinking we do together molds the contours of the school: form, content, parts, whole, hands, clay, hearts, drums. Here we are, thinking, feeling, working, sheltering. The idea of the house is made without material. The idea of the house made without material, the immaterial house, is the dream of community. Community is how you find the people you need, how you meet the people who need you. My house is poetry. My school is poetry. My people are poetry. Humanness is actually the ground of poetry. Humans can be beautiful. Community, that's technically not true. Community is always radical because it creates rather than takes up space. It embraces rather than displaces people. It traces rather than erases existing networks of sociality. And it lays down roots without stealing land. It is multidimensional and multi-generational, and it is here because we are here. It is durable because we are durable. We are durable because we abide in the immaterial, the numinous, the idea of the house as a school. May we never underestimate our durability or our precarity. Emil Alcalay said, let's stop acting like this will always exist. I wake up asking, how are we meant to take care of each other? I ask myself the same at the threshold of sleep. May we never turn our backs on what we have built with nothing but our idea of a house, with our dreams. What else? We have made possible by asking what else is possible in community. Today I'm going to read some old work, new work, and some work from my two newish books that came out in 2023 and 2024. Special thanks to Anna Gertenwachter, who's, how do I say it? Oh, thanks. Who's here in the audience and is also just one of those magical portal keepers of poetry who seems to only open doors, never closes them on anyone. Work is a river braided across books by specific themes and can, in some regards, be thought of as a whole. It is long and unwieldy. You might think about it like a subway ride with lots of transfers. I want to just encourage you to be okay with that. All right, let's see. I forgot to start my clock. I bet I've been reading for, 10 minutes? All right, the first poem I wanted to read is out of my book from 2024 called Reps. And it's about a talk that I saw in the Poetry Project by Carolee Schneeman, who shows up a few times in my book and has been, one of my many poetry ancestors, inviting me deeper into the realm of poetry, history, and futures. It's called Owner. And, well, I'll just read it. I began again too scared to death to stay in bed. Carolee Schneeman's talk about her grandma's attic staircase as her introduction to the abstraction of space still haunts me. A hologram independent of the real in the mind, I'm always trying to climb them, those stairs. People think I'm tripping, but the shadow cast by the handrail spells lineage. Loopy cursive. String theory presupposes its history is unknowable because the cord's been cut. But almost any thread can be umbilical. For example, I got clotheslined spinning donuts. Linear time threw me off track. After birth, dependence is involuntary, but unity with the whole is a distant memory. What happens when the old houses assert their patterns? What happens when old houses assert the patterns of their former on the lives of their latter inhabitants? Well, I guess a ghost is a consequence of an overdeveloped sense of object permanence. I'm always at the foot of the stairs, about to head up. The attic keeps memory and artifact in order on high. Top to bottom, left to right, way over the head of the heart of the house, the hot water heater in the basement. The bowels of the house sprawl everywhere else, and hard-working, hanging slackly like hammocks from the chandeliers, sorting the wheat from the chaff, the fabric from the scrap, the paper from the plastic, so on. You know how plumbers flow like birds tend to song? They keep it going. Same way carpenters bend and fold floors to ascend and descend stories. Same way teachers scaffold assignments to arrive on time and with the right tools at the point of the exercise. Same way they grasp scaffolds as the product in the path of learning in the plastic age, the age of psychosocial biological change on the subatomic plane. Now I'm going to read a new one, which is what I'm most excited to read. It's always most fun to read new things because it feels very dangerous. Calvarium. This is from a book called Anatomy. It's a manuscript called Anatomy. And it imagines the lyric eye as roughly inhabiting the consciousness of different body parts, the personal time and historical time from that perspective. So like the heart, mitochondrial DNA, et cetera, et cetera. So this one is called Calvarium, AKA the skull cap, or a swampy leftover depression that dimples and wrinkles the crown. Too much on to this podium. I feel like I'm in an open boat at sea. AKA the skull cap, or a swampy leftover depression that dimples and wrinkles, thank you, the crown on my head where soft spot jigsaw shut incompletely to let the light in. A strip of firm skin forms a sort of suspension bridge that spans the hair's width between three unsutured plates disjointed by a bad fall as a baby. The thin, curved cranial bones vault mind like a mesh of anti-modernist transepts. The thin, curved cranial bones vault mind like a mesh of anti-modernist transepts in a hillside castle's honeycombed mead hall suite. The passage of pleasure from peacemaker to pitcher, from maiden to midden, from human to house. Overhead roofs rot and air is increasingly an architectural feature of the old house. Over time, a trepanation hole in the mound where the rain washes the warrior's brain off the hemlock benches smeared with blood grudge. I am grateful to the woman who laments the end of peace when Beowulf sleeps beyond threat of waking on his water bed, burning through wood, gold, flesh, and bone with a view of the sky dome from his horizontal throne. She shares his fate, but has in it. How loss of say and birth of song coincide in the lungs, folded low, full of oxygen to fuel the funeral pyre. Half Anglo, half Saxon, half pagan, half Christian, half sorrow, half soil, an unknown woman. Her present is downstream, her future is downstream. The past is, of course, the current. Power isn't a person, it's a direction, a series of events set in motion. At the source of the river. Fun fact: the absolute source of a river is always up for grabs, a site of discourse. Fun fact: power isn't a person, it's a form of ignorance. The river begins vertically as precipitation. The river begins orientlessly as atmospheric conditions. The river flows dimensionally until it reaches the mouth, where it stops being itself and starts being something else. Time is linear only if the water cycle is laid out like a biker lays out a motorcycle on its side to slide to a stop to avoid collision. In other words, at great personal cost, we ignore time's true form. All her life carried along by temporary diplomacies between warring tribes, wrought in wives as gifts and golden wreaths, and sons as blood ties, or tithes or tides that ran end times through rinse cycles. The apocalypse was always now. New subjectivities rise from raised empires. True, the place where crying begins is territory reborn as earth, man-made, returning to dirt, to crude oil, the material that made man, the real mother of modernity. Whoever said peace is more than the absence of war was right. Now I'm going to read two more. How am I doing? Okay. I think I'll read two more from here. Let's see if I like these tonight. Nope. I'm not going to do it. I think I'm going to skip these. I'm going to read another new one. I'm really following. I'm pursuing desire here. All right, the four forces. The four forces. The filmmaker John Smith shot a short about how the living past gets recast as the living past gets recast. The filmmaker John Smith shot a short about how the living past gets recast and sold as frozen heritage. About how preservation and gentrification stabilize dominant histories as street museums, displaying nostalgia for vernacular artifacts by evicting variables, people. From the aristocratic static mastery of space and time, about the modern city as a sensitive medium, about how glass is a liquid veil whose molecular flow is imperceptibly slow but still in motion. He calls the film Slow Glass. It tracks the way the human eye misperceives transparency as a solid in a fluxing city. Watchers of the film, like me, peer through a screen to the lens of the camera, into the mind within a man who drones on about change to a stranger. Chance drew them to the pub for a drink after work. When work is good. I like good when you can get it. On the other side of the glass, they face the bar. Their backs are to the camera. It's like I'm on the street. His story helps me see through a window into a broken window shattered by a brick, into a bricked over window, into a fictional city in the future perfect. The fiction is a sheet of autobiographical glass crafted by the glazier, and I guess most humans are the same way. Wet where they appear to be solid, shimmering where they ought to be matte, tightly packed molecules flowing past self-similar cells, a dance of continuous relation without contact. The body is made of cells. Cells are made of molecules. One of those molecules is water. Water is made of hydrogen, 2 parts, and oxygen, 1 part. Hydrogen and oxygen are made of atoms. Atoms are the basis of all matter, but are more void than substance, unless void is. Even proximate atoms are pretty far apart. Even confined spaces, even in a shared cell, atoms are mostly composed of positive charges, driven by a natural inclination to repel each other, which is blunted by a strong nuclear force. One of 4 fundamental forces holding this thin whatever this is together forever. We're in a forever-like impression of the present's tensile strength, its capacity to stretch under stress, an open marriage of free radicals, microscopically dramatizing never-settled contestations over inner space. They are known as the strong force, the weak force, the electromagnetic force, and gravity, of course. Gravity is the weakest of the 4 forces, but it's said to be infinite. I think of it, gravity that is, like a surgeon whose patient is humanity pinned down on the operating table by bad decisions and self-betrayal. The passage of light through glass suggests the passage of time through space. The passage of light through glass suggests the passage of the real into the mind of the receiver. Windows are metonyms for the transmission of knowledge. We learn from what we see clearly. But gravity is not a force. It's a fold in the apron of space-time. And the real is a monster modern primitives made up to explain the unexplainable nature of their behavior. Understanding the world changes the world. Understanding changes the world, changes the world. Knowing glass is not a solid melts the pint glass filled with beer, like the Thwaites Glacier melts the Holocene filled with humans. People often ask me what I think the human is, and I say humanity is agency and process at work. Understanding the world loosens my grip on reality. Thank God. When enough people let go of the known, a paradigm shift is made possible. For me, the change in state came like this. I saw Sisyphus wasn't holding anything up. He was hanging by his nails from a sheer bluff. A paradigm shift is a portal that can't or won't predict where its path ends, or its paths end, or which of its ends are liquids dressed as solids. And here we are. Okay, let's see. How many more poems can I read? 68. I think I'm going to read a few more from this book. Reps. Okay, these 3 are called Egg. One's called Egg Star. One's called Egg Frozen, and one is called Egg Star. I began again swaying to the insistent rhythm of a dripping faucet, its tones both soothing and conspiratorial. Earth's secretions mend the cracks in its crust with wet seams. Oceans, lakes, and rivers are great bandages, but their waste byproduct is distance. The continents learn to live with the fact that one day they'll die alone by listening intently for the sound of plates breaking where their faults lie. I say faults lie because Earth is faultless, because life on Earth is fluid, and Earth's motility is contractual. Creation is bound by cosmic law to unmake land wherever place consolidates as power. Through a series of strong and regular contractions of increasing intensity, the land makes way for the passage of water. Lots of it. In this way, a miner and a mother are each other's mirrors. Sealing the cracks with blue liqueur is an act of repair that heals without hiding the wound. Egg frozen. The tipple shaft caved in. Backfill sealed the boys in a space too small to draw a single breath between them. Afterbirth, the composite tragedy of all mothers crushed by loss across all time increased my density, which just means I remained the same size but grew secretly heavy. A mother's love is intermolecular. giving the impression that there's no room for light or air to pass through its volume. One mother's grief grabs all mothers by the throat where the words sleep between speech, no? The shaft, where the scabbard is stowed between killings, right? When I sheath the blade, I shut out the light, not forever or for everyone, but for all time for the miner and for all time for his mother, Earth. Mining hurts. Egg dozen. I began again in labor and delivery, midwife to an open pit mine. Blasting a quarry wall with dynamite is a lot like pushing Pitocin on reluctant contractors. My team ensures each blast softens and widens the mouth of the quarry. If I do my job well, a lake takes the place of the mountain in the landscape, and the baby takes the place of the mother as the locus of concern in the birthing room. The nurses assure me I'm no longer a person of interest. Teenagers jump into the lake in defiance of the no swimming sign. Under a crystal clear sealant seeping up from deep springs, the cut in the perineum is cold and quiet. 50 to 60 feet of water is a strong pain suppressant. Now, I'm going to read one from this book that Anna and MC Highland and Jeff Peterson made, because it's such a pleasure to dive back in to this collaborative project. And actually it references, I don't know if anyone, I know there are several people in this room who were part of Laura's reading group. This is all from the novel, the feminist novel reading group. Except for the one I'm going to read. Afterward, 2023. This one was written later. The Turquoise Ledge. I read books, then I went to bed, and I metabolized the books while I slept. The book I read here is called The Turquoise Ledge. After hours, the public pool is still filled with the sounds of open swim, swallowed by the sounds of water, swallowing the sounds of open swim, echoic in an ultra-chlorinated Olympic indoor lab. After hours, water is always listening, drinking it in. Now, the happy, relaxed, ambient screams of people living it up in the present and the past now. The slick white souls in their latex skins and their merry squeals are gone now. Down the water's wall its volume. Sleek as fat seal pups in their ragged jackets nursing under spring ice skeins. Ice-dependent is the way humans describe creatures who depend on ice. Received by the quiet water like a sip of water is received by a thirsty body bent over the water's fountain, the honor fountain's silver basin. The thirsty boy at the bubbler who gave birth to me is more or less a leaking bag of salt water, a modal castle that microbiota and nucleotides call home, a slip of sea inside a coastline of skin and hinge-jointed appendages, a fillable water balloon topping up at the Lodic tap before erupting with laughter. My friend, water from the friendly tap, water, my friend. Our friendship is codified as commodity by economists. Our friendship is called a human right by the United Nations, a common resource in the UK, a public good in the US, a utility in NYC. Our friendship is unfiltered. It's alive with shrimp-like larval copepods. It isn't kosher, not exactly. My friend, my life is dependent on your friendliness toward me. My friend, your life is dependent on my species remembering to treat its friends better than a liquid asset or a universal solvent. At sea level, my city's water supply is gravity dependent. My city's water supply is theft dependent. Upstate eminent domain allowed the city downstate to claim water. The commons it controlled. My glass is half full because whole towns have drowned. 3 fish in a tree, how can that be? I'll tell you how. Water, your total volume on Earth is constant, but your state is constant change. I hurt you bad as the boys in the death scenes in the war movies on the big screens in my childhood. If not I exactly, someone so like I and so unlike I that I apologize for someone I am only a part of but not apart from, someone or one's a public sense of human species. We have hurt us all so bad. You endure your death as best you can because we are good friends, and I am so sorry. When my friend reflects light, my friend multiplies light. When light reflects my friend, light multiplies blue. Unlike mirrors, water has surface and depth. Unlike mirrors, water allows onlookers to cross over and sometimes reverse the chemical process of death. Like the sodium polyacrylate in disposable diapers absorbs urine, turning urine into a semi-solid gel, so water absorbs darkness, turning darkness into a slimy, textured mass. Water's job is acknowledged by the living, if at all, as the absence of thirst. Now it's summer again, and I forget my finitude for a minute because I'm all wet. I leap from the dock, and in my mind's eye, I see the space oddity of my body from the perspective of the lake whose surface I'm about to break. My friend, how strange it must be for whole beings to pass into and out of your body, and for you to pass into and out of those bodies as well, to travel without interruption, without invitation, through rock and mouth, through root and cloud, through mother to child, seaside or lake, poolside or slip inside. The presence of absent-mindedness blossoms, a brief season of separate bodies crashing their whole selves into one self. On the other side of the living mirror, water listens with its whole body to its total environment for the next wave of visitations. I whisper, what if water loves this as much as we do? Water's memory collects happiness on its surface like a convex meniscus. Water's memory collects sadness in the same way, in excess of itself, a 3D surface. Thirst, fourth dimension of water, a tesseract that reflects on the fact that people are mostly water once you look past the bone-dry hypersurface of the present. Thirst is how I call my friend, how I know my friend is calling. Thirst is how water remembers why water loves people, what water loves best about even the worst people. All right. Oh, thanks. All right. Do I have time for one more? All right, good. Okay. This is the last one. This is the one that I wanted to end on. I think I'm going a little tiny bit over, which I know is like not cool at all, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm boldly proceeding into the boundary time where people are like, good Lord. Thanks. All right, okay, here we go. This is the last one. It's called Alex, and I just wanted to read it especially because of Alex and the themes that kind of braid our readings together. Okay, Alex. A story about parents protecting their children from the worlds of adults. A story about parents protecting their words from their children's analysis. A story about children listening in at closed doors. A story about how their tiny tiger cowrie oracles whirl against the burl grain wood when they strain to understand adult speak. A story about children adrift in historic weather that messes with their ancient baby faith, in seasonal patterns as safe containers. For growing up in tune with nature and each other and themselves, a story about children reading Winnicott out loud after lights out, a story about parents whispering good enough to each other under their breath, under their covers. A story about how children, for lack of sound modeling, mock up their own holding environments with found twine, twig, gum, blood, and rust. A story about how theory in childhood reads like play to adults. A story about how theory in action answers the question, what else is possible? A story about the ways children theorize. A story about veins of milk pulsing in stone. A story about how quietly the children strike their wee chisels against the stone breast after letdown to emancipate the milk. A story about what parents learn about children when they listen to their children singing or not singing. A story about the kids these days and their unfeeling refusal to sing for their parents or to perform at all for their parents, or about performance as an expression of solidarity at the expense of authenticity, a story about infinite playtime that dissembles the present of parents, a story about parents' preference for the present miscast as reverence for their children's futures, futures past parents forgot to protect present parents from, a story about the past protecting the future by escaping history, a story about the past accidentally leaving the future to deal with history as a single parent, a story about history's awe-struck, non-consensual embrace of the present and the consequences of its clutch playing out in the lives of children, a story about clutches, devices that transfer rotational energy engine to the wheel, a story about circular motion breeding linear progress, about repetition over time plus difference equals distance equals change, a story about birth as a transfer of power. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kendra. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Morgan, Karen, for your beautiful introductions. Thank you all for coming. I also want to thank our tech, James, Cerine, as well as Heather and Dea, who's volunteering tonight. And thank you all for coming. Please come back to the Poetry Project. Thank you.